Well, folks, me again. I figured I might share you my testimony. And y'all kind of sort of know my backstory. I was basically born right here in South Carolina, so born and raised in a different county. You could say I was basically a city boy, but basically a country folk growing up in the city. So yeah, I had a pretty good childhood though. But like all great childhoods, I was basically picked, got picked on a lot in school. Basically, I was the only child because my brother passed away back in '99. He would later die because he hung around with the wrong people. So that basically started my downward spiral. I mean, that was difficult for me to let go of that because my brother was only 14 years old when he died. And then following that, the mid to late 2000s, my mom filed for divorce against my biological father. And sometimes my mom had to work two jobs just to support me. Sometimes she left me with my grandmother and my aunt. I didn't really care being raised by a bunch of women, so I didn't really care. Sometimes I stayed with my grandparents, and I would watch films like John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, and all these Western films from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. I mean, I was just blown away. Even even my grandfather made like a stagecoach in wood by himself, literally. Things I thought things were gonna get better because I was only a small child back then. I think over time it really got out of control with the sweets and everything. I just started eating a lot and just not giving a rip about my health. It was just a bunch of pain. Even after, even after myself and my mom moved to Inman. So yeah, at the time I was just, and by the time around my sisters were born, I was still in high school. I was picked on a lot because I was just picked on so many times. And I thought I was never going to have a girlfriend until I met my ex at the time. And before Sierra, I had a crush on a woman who did not have feelings for me. And she was in art class and she didn't have feelings for me, so I just basically lashed out. I threatened to off myself. And then after that, My mom pulled me aside and said, are you effing crazy? Are you effing this, effing that?" I didn't know what to say. I was just a kid. I was a teenager. That's the whole point of being young and stupid, so yeah. All I wanted to do was be a popular kid, and so you could say I was basically a country person trying to be a popular kid, to say the least. But as time progressed, and me and Sierra at the time, back when me and Sierra did like charitable work for this little kids program we have in our little school over there. We did like charitable work, and then me and her struck up a conversation about why she didn't wear high heels like most teenage girls at that time. And she's like, she just don't wear them. And I was going through the women's shoe area at the time, and I found these pair of black women's high heels, so I asked her to try them if I give her a little kiss. So I gave her a peck on the lips. So she did. And then we were in a relationship since 2012. And like I said in previous videos, I wish other couples would take notes. Previously, my grandfather passed away back in 2010. That devastated me. That hurt me, basically. So as the years progressed in high school for me, I was just a kid just getting in trouble. I would do anything just to fit in with the outcasts, to say the least, the emo kids, the country kids, and they would just say, "Hey, Danny, come on over here." Luckily, I knew one of my friends in one of my art classes or whatever, and his brother went to the same school as he did. And we became friends since. I don't know, I hadn't said a word to the guys ever since. I mean, you can say I was a weirdo in high school, to say the least. I think months before I graduated high school back in 2015, so I received the news that I did not want to hear. Basically, my grandmother passed away, and I was devastated. And previously, it was a lot of family drama going on. One of my cousins was marrying the perfect Christian woman of his life, but he just basically bailed on her for another woman. So yeah, yeah, a lot of family drama. So my other uncle basically married a rich woman who had an ego bigger than her forehead, to say the least. And he was forced to get rid of his tattoos. And after I heard that from my aunt or my mom, and I was just like, if I ever was married to a woman like that, I would tell a woman to go fuck herself. I mean, relationship-wise, when me and Sierra were still together, I did everything I could to be the perfect boyfriend for her, but as the time progressed, the relationship between me and her started to falter. I mean, I did everything I could to fix it, but I mean, I tried to be a good boyfriend to her. I mean, I literally showed up to one of her birthday parties at her grandmother's place. The pill usage started behind my mother's back. I mean, I would literally do anything just to stay on my A game, because after I got out of high school, I tried to get a job. My first legitimate job was at a equestrian center at a restaurant there, and I was just blown away. I was making like $9 and some change, and I thought I was living a pretty good job. I had a pretty good job going for him, but travel-wise, it just wasn't worth it. So my mom called me out of that doggone subject. Yes, I have a crap load of blankets because my grandfather slept that way too. Things just was going south for me. And like I said, I tried to be, when me and Sierra were still together, I tried to be the perfect boyfriend that Sierra wanted. I mean, I literally tried to share Jesus with her, but she literally just laughed it off. I mean, when I was in ROTC, I mean, I danced with literally every woman there, and after telling her that afterwards, Sierra just launched into a tirade, basically just got jealous, and just turned her head. I mean, I wanted to have a family, but she didn't, so that's what led to me and her parting ways. That gothic culture basically is just myself expressing who I really am. I tried being trendy, but that blew up in my face. I tried being emo, but that got a lot of flack from the press, so I basically just said to myself, I'm just gonna, as I got older, I'm just gonna go gothic, so this is basically myself maturing. What I do is try to update my fashion. and not give a rip on what people think. Things just went completely off the rails from there, because after my sisters were born, the holes and the cracks began to show, because I would completely resent my own mom, because I would cuss her out. Every time my mom needed me for something, I would cuss her out. Literally. And basically, my mom thought she ruled the roost. Even after my mom married my stepfather, they basically told me to lose the weight. And I would just flip them off. And as the years progressed, I would listen to people that thought their way was the highway on social media. And after all that chaos went down, I felt like after me and my cousin, one of my cousins at the time, got into a physical fight, I would spit at him in his face when he snuck into the house we were living in at the time. He basically snuck in with a mask because he was raised different than me. And like I said, a lot of family drama went down. Oh, everyone it was. My mom say I'm proud of her, but she barely even said it. I tried out for Special Olympics at one point, back when I was still in high school. Back when my grandmother was still around, she would read her Bible every day. It didn't matter what she was doing, whether she was doing laundry or anything like that, she would read her Bible. If you saw my childhood, you thought I lived in the 1990s instead of the 2000s. I did have a Game Boy at one point. I gotta be perfectly honest. Me and Sierra had our ups and downs back when we were still together, but we seemed to be the perfect couple, but At first, my mother wasn't accepting of me and Sarah dating at first, but then later on, she got used to it. Then later on, my sisters were born, and to be honest, I just wasn't ready to be a brother because I just wasn't ready for that crap. Because I just wasn't ready. I felt like I just wasn't the perfect brother for my sisters because I did not want to go out like my brother did. Even after my sisters came out of NICU, and I tried to be the perfect brother that I possibly could. I wanted to be sure that my sisters had a brother that could be there for them every step of the way. When I was younger, I was baptized. And I was anointed when I was only an infant. I never had to stay in NICU. Like I said, when I was a teenager, I thought this was just a bunch of dudes. I just wasn't the perfect kid, so yeah. How do you think? How do I think when I said yes to Jesus? When my stepfather pulled me aside after when I came to talk to my step-grandfather at the time. And I showed him why I fell away from the church. He's like, man, don't listen to what people have to say. They're of the world. You are the church. I'm like, you know how long I've been looking for an answer? I've been looking for answers, but people want to slide political dogma in there and think that the Lord benefits this group or that group, thisism, thatism group. And to the ones who say they ain't gonna die, oh, trust me, we will die one day. One day I will not be here, and some of y'all watching will not be here one day. Oh, trust me, death can come naturally. But when did I decide to take up the cross? I think after me and Sarah decided to part ways. my struggles as a Christian. I would listen to this group, that group, claiming this, that, and the other. Claiming that Gothic people were devil worshippers and they need to die, and say, oh, heavy metal's the devil's music. I'm like, how come other Christians are getting involved in it? And they just avoid the press and not even answer a direct question. I gave up on. I hid that pills and pornography addiction from my mom until I kind of sort of told her about it. I told her about my pornography addiction. And she's like, oh, it's okay. Oh, it's okay for a man to do that. Oh, it's okay for this, it's okay for that. And I just knew something wasn't right with my mom. I knew I had to take it up with the Lord, and I knew I needed to get right with the Lord, or I'm gonna be wasting my life as a bum. So what made me turn to Gothic? Just to be part of things. Just to make me feel like I belong somewhere. I know people give gods a lot of flack, but I'm a Gothic Christian, so I'm here to stay, so. Lifestyle-wise, ever since I started working in a nursing home's kitchen, so yeah, my first days there were, you could say, were pretty good, but later on it just was not pleasant for me. I just felt like I just wasn't given the credit I deserved, so. Then later on, as time progressed, I just wasn't given a raise. I just was not satisfied with it. So I basically told them, you know what? My mom's moving back to my hometown. I used to live here. So I basically said, you know what? I'm moving back to my hometown. I'm gonna work at a nursing home there. Here, good. So I packed my things and goodbye. So I worked in a nursing home's kitchen in my hometown. I was happy. I worked with people that enjoyed life. But they were basically just asking the world of me, and it got to the point where I just lashed out at them, and I told them I wasn't coming back. And then my mom just basically lashed out at me and just cussed me out. And then my mom literally had to go crawling back to my previous employers. And I repeatedly told her that I did not, I repeat, not wanted to go back there. But she just did it behind my back because we needed the money at the time. And that's where I've been ever since. I said the only way if I'm ever gonna go back to that hellhole is if I got a raise. And after I got back there, they actually gave me a raise. They actually pulled me aside, and I thought, oh my goodness, here we go again. Because my mind just wasn't right. I was so pessimistic about everything. I was like, oh my goodness, here we go. So they pulled me aside and they showed me this paper about me getting a raise. And when I saw the raise like $11 and something, I'm like, my eyes just widened. I was like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, is this really an act of God? Is this really what the Lord is telling me? Then it was like, hallelujah! And after that, I literally told my co-workers and my mom that I just got a raise, and my mom is... And I was like, Mom, it must be an act of God. So I stayed in my hometown, and you can basically, in a little place of what y'all would call the ghetto, for a while until we moved back here. So it's basically an old house featured in my old videos. Anyway, I've been a good brother to my sister, so hopefully if they ever start dating, they could take it up with me, so the all-seeing eyes of Big Brother over here be on their little boyfriends the entire time. Weight-wise, I'm keeping track of my health now, so hope y'all enjoy. Like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next video.